back to our YouTube channel. It is Ella here, and as usual, it's another episode of the Humanitarians of Africa series, where I have been sharing the stories of amazing founders all across Africa doing great things. Today, I have from Nigeria, a sickle cell warrior, an advocate, and also the founder of Ayeni Idowu Foundation. And this is September 2022 while we're recording. And if you know sickle cell well, this month is Sickle Cell Awareness Month. So this falls in and ties up very well with all the awareness activities going on. Ayeni, thank you so much for joining me in today's session. It's amazing to have you here, share your story with me.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you very much. It's a privilege.
Thank you. Thank you. So, who is Ayeni Idowu? What does he do? And what else do you think we should know about you? Can you please introduce yourself to us?
Okay, so I'll keep it simple and short. My name is Ayeni Idowu Oluwatosin. I'm a 26-year-old sickle cell warrior from Ikere Ekiti State, Nigeria. And I'm a graduate of building technology from the Federal University of Technology, Akure, Ondo State. Presently, I work under a consulting firm, and that's it basically. I think that's what me. And I'm a founder of the Sickle Cell Foundation, Ayeni Idowu Sickle Cell Foundation, actually.
Okay. All right, perfect. So there are some key pointers that he mentioned there, which I would like everyone to take note of. He is a sickle cell warrior. He finished school successfully. He also has a job that he's working and he's doing well. Now, what point am I trying to make? As a sickle cell advocate myself, the first thing I want you guys to know is that sickle cell is not a death sentence. And even while living with sickle cell, you can do other things. So I am so glad to see that you are excelling and thriving in the fields that you have chosen for yourself. Building technology is something very, very, I don't know, I'm a tech person, I'm not into that. But then, yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah. So as a sickle cell warrior and you're doing your 9 to 5 and you have an organization that you're running, how are you able to combine all of this together and also be successful at it, despite all the stress and challenges you may have to face because of your health?
Well, I would like to start with a Nigerian adage that says, one tree does not make a forest.
Yeah.
Yes, the foundation is in my name. I'm the founder and all of that. But then over time, I've learned to build it around resourceful people that I have around me, resourceful young people that I have around me. So basically, it's not just about my decision. It's not just about decision making at some point. It's just the foundation that can run with or without me. That's the way I've been able to build the foundation. That even in a way that if my job comes up at some point that the foundation has a project, the project can still go on successfully without interfering. To chip it in a little bit, my job is not the conventional 9 to 5 because it's a consulting firm and I also work for a politician. So it's more like it's not exactly 9 to 5. Sometimes I work overboard.
Yeah.
That's it basically. But then I've been able to build the foundation in such a way that, through the help of God anyways, in such a way that it can function without me. And recently I had an episode that was really crazy. So it kind of like took a toll on my mental health and all of that. So I took a step back from the foundation presently. So I'm just the founder as at this moment. There's a president and there's a vice president running the organization presently without me.
Wonderful, wonderful. It's good to know that you have resourceful people that actually support and have the same vision like you do. So talking about your health status, at what point did you gain courage to come out open and say, hi guys, I'm a sickle cell warrior and I want to start advocating for people living with sickle cell? Because I know that it's quite difficult. I have people personally around me. How exactly did you come to that point in your life?
In the early stage, I was not exactly comfortable with people knowing what my genotype is.
Definitely.
because I don't. To start with, I don't even look much of a sickle cell warrior.
Not stressed, so there's no how.
Yeah, I don't have the look so much, but for just little people that could actually tell from afar are the people that know. So at some point in my life, I was not so comfortable with telling people what my genotype was.
Mm,
But something changed sometimes in my final year in school, 2019. Then a lot of persons I've known in my class, then some of my lecturers have actually gotten to know, because there was a time I was very absent from. I was the president of my department when I was in 400 level,
mm.
going into my final year. And the early months of my tenure as the president, I was totally absent because I was in the hospital.
Oh, wow.
So there were a lot of questions that came then. Where is the president?
Mm,
And it was little people that knew what was going on. So when I resumed back into office, I had to come out open to let people know exactly what was going on. So from that moment, I think things kind of changed. And then when I graduated and came back home, I figured the knowledge of sickle cell around here was very, very low, very,
mm,
very low. And there are a lot of people dealing with it.
mm.
So I figured for me to be able to address that, it has to start with me.
Sure.
People have to be able to key into my kind of observations and everything,
Mm,
or what I am per se. I'm
mm,
a sickle cell warrior. So I
mm-hmm,
want to help other sickle cell warriors and help other people know about what sickle cell is.
mm,
So I just had to come out.
mm.
So it's not easy, trust me,
Yeah,
because
I
a lot
know.
of things had to change from there on since.
I know what you
But
mean.
then
Yeah,
I had to take that decision at that point for greater good.
yeah. It's actually a tough decision to make. Um, People have different stories and different experiences when it comes to exposing who they really are. Because in an environment like Nigeria, we find that there's a lot of discrimination and
That goes
um,
with it.
yeah, that comes with it. So you're like, if I talk about it, what is going to happen? So I totally relate what it means to have to take that courage. And it's a very serious courage that I admire when it comes to sickle cell warriors. So let's talk about your organization. So what exactly is Ayeni Idowu Foundation all about? And what is the impact you have been able to make so far?
Yeah, so like I said, after I graduated and I came back home, which is Ekiti State,
Yeah.
my place of stay exactly, and I figured the knowledge here is kind of low,
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted to start out Ayeni Idowu Sickle Cell Foundation. I had just two major aims:
Mm,
to help the already existing sickle cell warriors, to help them know what it is they're dealing with and
mm-hmm.
how to manage it,
Mm,
basically, and also to create a standard awareness
mm.
of what sickle cell is around here. And I don't just want to do it among the learned. I want to do it in the grassroots communities, the
People
hard
don't
to
know.
reach communities, for people to know what their genotype is, what the importance of their genotype is. That's my two major aim of what
Mm,
I need the sickle cell is all about. So
mm.
I need the sickle cell foundation is just with the core aim and objective of raising awareness and helping people living with sickle cell disease.
Mm,
In the process of all of that, when I started out in 2020, my first project was 2020, December 2020, but the foundation started June 19, 2020. That was the World Sickle Cell Day
mm,
in the COVID year. There was a COVID relief material that came from SCAF, Sickle Cell Aid Foundation, that came in for me then in Ekiti
mm,
State and all of that. So that was the kickstart.
mm,
We had to start bringing in people with that. Then the first project in 2020, I had a major partner that supported that project. And what I did was I brought people together and give free genotype. That's one thing I've said my foundation will continue to do. Everywhere we go, anywhere we go, we'll continue to conduct free genotype tests for people between the age of 5 and 30, and let them know what the importance of their genotype is, the combination of genotypes, and what brings about sickle cell disorder. Let
mm.
people know about these things. It's not spiritual, it's not contagious, all of that. So after my first project in my hometown, Ikere, December 2020, then we started selecting hard to reach communities. We did for somewhere in Idosi last year, May 27th last year. We were in Idosi local government part of Ekiti State,
Mm-hmm.
and we also conducted free genotypes and all of that. Sometimes early this year, we started the project Gen 1000. Gen 1000 is the project that is aimed at conducting free 1000 genotype across the state
Mm.
this year. So far, we've only been able to do roughly about 200, I think. The first one this year was in Omo local government. That's another local government again in Ekiti State, in one of the at-risk communities. We took the free genotype testing and the sickle cell awareness thing there again. And then the other one was in celebration of the World Sickle Cell Day this year. It was in a church. And it was in a youth church, let me put it that way. We have to bring youth together, let them know about these things and all of that. And we are still going further on that. The free 1,000 genotype test. We are looking at benchmarking that before the end of the year, God willing.
Wonderful, wonderful. You seem to do a lot of work with the grassroots communities, like you mentioned, and also with genotype awareness. So how exactly does genotype awareness solve the problem of sickle cell in Nigeria? Because Nigeria has the highest number of people living with sickle cell, bless you. Nigeria has the highest number of people living with sickle cell, and it's a pandemic in our country, whether we like it or not. So how does genotype awareness contribute to solving that problem of sickle cell?
Yeah, one thing in problem solving is you have to determine what the cause of the problem is. What is the cause? What is the major cause of sickle cell in Nigeria? It's because people are not aware of what their genotype is. People just get to marry, give birth, and all of that, and that's it. And from there, we continue to produce more people with sickle cell disorder.
Yeah.
So the first thing I felt was important was letting people know what their genotype is per se, and know the importance of the combination. When you know you are SS, you know the only person you are liable to marry is just someone living with AA. That's all. There's no two way about it. You know that if you marry someone that is not AA, you stand at the risk of giving birth to kids living with sickle cell disorder. Same likewise goes for people with AS and AS combining. The first thing was knowing what your genotype is. I feel when you know that, then we are able to infuse more knowledge into you on how to combine what your genotype is, what you should do, who you should marry, and how you should go about it. Do you understand? That's why I feel like that's the major importance of genotype in all of this. Because I feel like that's the only way we can curb the birthing of children living with sickle cell in Nigeria. That's the first way. When you get people so aware of what their genotype is. That's why one thing I've made core in the point of my project is making sure everybody gets a free genotype test. When you know what your genotype is, it's easier to move on from there.
Okay, that's great. It's actually genotype awareness that sort of curbs the problem, because when people don't know their genotype, they just do things ignorantly, and that's actually the first point of action. So yeah, this is Sickle Cell Awareness Month. September is Worldwide Sickle Cell Awareness Month. I know that a lot of organizations have several campaigns going on at this period, but for Ayeni Idowu Foundation, what does Sickle Cell Awareness Month mean to you, and what are the ways you guys are creating awareness this month?
Okay, there are just two ways this year. I said earlier that the foundation started out this year on conducting free 1,000 genotype tests.
Yeah.
And so far, we've been able to pinpoint 2 months. One happened in March, one happened in June, and I felt like the other one should happen this month to mark the awareness month. So this year, basically, for the foundation, it starts the Gen 1000 project. We are key on that. It's more like a course that we are following through to the end.
Yeah.
So we are still raising money and all of that to be able to conduct more free genotype tests this month and this year, and to be able to go to more places and tell people about genotype importance and sickle cell. And secondly, we have our online platforms. This month mostly is always flooded online.
Yeah.
With every other sickle cell foundation doing the online campaign, but then it doesn't get too much. Every one of us reaches a different crowd and a different you get. So like that, we continue our online campaign as usual. Then a lot of other projects that we still have in the bag.
Wonderful, wonderful. I work with the Sickle Cell Foundation, and I see a lot. I know this month everywhere is flooded with so much information. Some of them are
this month is always flooded.
Yeah, some of them are not the same, but like you said, different audiences, different methods of
Exactly.
reaching out. And the word is never enough because people need to keep hearing it every day. The same way we're
Every
hearing
day.
COVID, wear your marks, wear your marks. We need to keep hearing, know your genotype, know your genotype. Not just knowing your genotype, but that sickle cell is not a death
Knowing
sentence.
the importance of the combination of the genotype too.
Exactly. So yeah, that works. That really works. So talking about your plans for the future for your organization, what are the aspirations you have going forward for your nonprofit? Where do you see Ayeni Idowu Foundation in, let's say, 5 years or 3 years?
Okay. 3 years I'll take.
Okay.
First, I would like, presently, like I said, I said I work with a politician. One of the reasons I took up the job is because she's aspiring to be a lawmaker in the state, and I felt like that's one step towards one of the changes I'm looking to implement in the state. If a state starts first as if a state should mark a year of, okay, this year the total childbirth in this state is so, and there was no record of any regular genotype combination. There was no birth of any baby with sickle cell. I think that's a benchmark.
Sure.
Do you understand? So basically, for my foundation, I'm working on strictly still continue on educating people on this sickle cell issue, going into earth places of worship, schools, and everything, making sure people hear this thing all around. Then coming from the government part of it, the government is a very big part of our life because they are the only one that can make a law that affects everybody. So through that, I'm still looking to work with the government on implementing and making sure churches and every marriage organizations put in a criteria of genotype test results before going forward with marriages. That's what I'm looking to implement in the states within now and in 3 years' time or 5 years' time. I know it's a long journey, but then we're going to continue to work on it. Looking into infusing the state to make a law. I feel like people fear laws that have a strict punishment in Nigeria. Do you understand? When they do this thing, there's a consequence that comes with it. If a state passes a law like that, at least if you are going to be giving birth in any of the registered hospitals in the state, and they found out the genotype of the husband and the wife was not combined, maybe they get to punish the wife or the husband for making that wrong decision or something. Or maybe the church is refusing to marry people, or the local government registries are refusing to marry people, or the affairs in the mosques are refusing to marry people because their genotypes does not combine. Do you understand? I feel from there, a big change will implement moving forward from there. That's my plans.
Wonderful. You're right. If the churches, I know some churches already do that at the moment, but then it's not as strict as you would expect it to be. You still find that some of them are saying, by the grace of God, you will survive. And the truth is, yes, God's grace abounds.
They're faithing it.
Yeah, but it's not something you're supposed to take that way in that dimension. So yeah, I hope you will definitely be able to achieve that because it will be a milestone, not just in your state, but also in Nigeria. So we've been talking a lot about sickle cell. I won't be shocked if there are people listening to us right now who still do not know what sickle cell is. So this is Sickle Cell Awareness Month. I want you to take 1 minute to please educate someone who doesn't know about sickle cell. Educate them. Well, what exactly is sickle cell and how can they avoid that problem?
Okay, first, I would like to give the internet definition of what sickle cell is. Okay. That is the shape of the red blood cell coming as sickle instead of the full circle that it is for people with normal genotypes. And through which, because the red blood cell is sickle, it gets stuck in the veins and all of that sometimes because of no free flow movement. That's what leads to the sickle cell crisis and pains that we have. That is it all about sickle cell. But I feel like it's a way of life. It's a way of life for people living with it. Because it's something you have to live with for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And I would like to first say sickle cell is not a death sentence. That's number one thing. Then number two, sickle cell is not contagious, and it does not mean the person carrying it is less of a human. That's something I would like everybody to know. It's something we did not choose. We are like a result or a consequence of an action that was taken sometimes at some point. Do you understand? And then it's something that we cannot control also. So sickle cell is all about the shape of our red blood cell not being round or circle
Yeah.
like people living with AS and AA.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's the definition of sickle cell on its own. And like I said, sickle cell is not the death sentence. I would like to explain that because people feel like when they meet someone with living with sickle cell, they are short-lived people or
Yeah.
there's a life expectancy with them. I feel like that's an old belief.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there are a lot of ways of managing sickle cell, how to treat sickle cell, knowing what you are dealing with by yourself
Mm-hmm.
that puts you or that sets you on the right path, health-wise.
Mm-hmm.
The oldest sickle cell warrior in the world now, at about now, I think she's about 70 something years old or thereabout.
Yeah.
In Nigeria, we have someone living with sickle cell that is over 50 and 60 in
Yes.
Nigeria.
Yes.
So that means people don't die from sickle cell anymore when
Yeah.
it is properly managed. When it is properly managed. And it's not contagious because I cannot sneeze like COVID. I cannot sneeze or pass on a liquid to you, and from there you catch sickle cell. No,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't happen that way. Sickle cell comes from the combination of two carriers of the sickle cell trait. That is, someone with the AS genotype and another with the AS genotype coming together to get married, or someone with the SS genotype coming with another one that's a sickle cell trait like AS.
Yes.
Also, that's how sickle cell is bred. That's the only way sickle cell comes alive. So it's not contagious, not something you can catch or something. That's it basically. And there are a lot that still surround sickle cell, I feel, because for sickle cell warriors out there, for people with complications and people with no complications like me, reasons why they call us warriors is because it's almost one day, one pain. Let me put it that way. We run out of oxygen so fast because the supply of oxygen to our body is short due to the low amount of red blood cells that we have in our body compared to people that has AS and AA. So all of that, that's it basically.
Wonderful. Thank you for that mini tutorial or mini education about sickle cell. I say
Thank
mini
you.
because the details or the information about sickle cell cannot be exhausted. It's a lot.
You cannot run out of
lot
information to tell on sickle
it's a
cell.
whole lot to unravel, but the most important things are what Ayeni has mentioned, which it is not contagious, it is a genetic disorder. So genetic blood disorder. So meaning
Disorder.
it's just in the blood and not in the body. Like if I touch you, you can't get it. If I kiss you, you can't get it. If I hug you, it doesn't work like that. So it only works when
like that.
the carriers, when the carriers together and they produce children. So even if I'm living with sickle cell, I cannot transfer it to someone except I have a child, and a child with the wrong partner. So thank you so much for that short message about sickle cell. So I want to move down a little bit personally to you. As a warrior, what are some of those challenges you face when you were introducing yourself and your organization? You mentioned having to go through mental health breakdown because of the crisis you just went through. And I know that is one major challenge that a lot of warriors have to go through. So personally, what are some of those, it cannot be exhausted, but what are those little things that you have to go through on a daily as a sickle cell warrior?
Okay, I'll start from the physical aspect of it. Daily, there are some you don't have to get yourself exhausted or short out of breath because you can land in the hospital next. You know, you have to drink some certain liters of water every day, or else you are probably charging towards getting a pain crisis or something. Then you know you have to run away from rain, change in temperature, change in altitude, and all of that.
Yeah.
You cannot be too cold, you cannot be too
Too hot.
hot. Exactly. You have to find a balance in between it.
Yeah.
And there's some certain heights you cannot or should not try at some certain time because you can land in the hospital. But then, like, I would like to chip this in. As much as you can be careful with all these things, sickle cell has a way of messing up things. You
Yeah.
can be
The
so very careful,
unexpected. Unexpected.
exactly, drink the expected amount of water, don't change temperature, don't do this, and then the next thing you're in the hospital. Trust me, you can do all of those. Sickle cell just has its way of doing its thing with your body when it is time to actually exhibit. You're just trying to be on the safer side when you stay on your medications and all of that. But for me personally, I'm not the type that falls into crisis all the time, but each time I do, it's always life threatening to an extent. I've had close shave to dying at some point. Sometimes when I was undergraduate, and some other time, I almost lost my leg at some point due to a wrong injection from a doctor
My
during
God.
one of my thing. But then, thankfully, it was reversible. Though the pain still lingers today, but then my legs are fine, like they are normal. I still have the pain from that injection to date. It's been like 4 years now,
Wow.
but then it's still there. So like I said, so for the physical, we get pains like almost every day. You too much of sleep, short of sleep, all of those things can lead to pain. If you sleep too much, you can actually have pains. Yes, as a sickle
Really?
cell warrior.
My God.
Yes, and if there's a certain number of hours of sleep that you're supposed to get, and you get
Like you
short,
didn't get it. There's problem.
you can also still get yourself into that. And there are sometimes we have a relapse. So like the last episode I had the first one, it was a little bit mini. So I was in the hospital, I got treated, I got the necessary injections and all of that. I got discharged because the doctor felt like I was fine. Then 2 nights after I got discharged, I had a very big relapse. Like it was very, very big. In 30 seconds or a minute, I started having shortness of breath. I could not breathe properly anymore. Then I passed out. Then the next thing I was in the hospital again. This time I had to spend about 7 days in the hospital. And I had to spend about 21 days recovering from all of that. So when I came back, I felt like that was a lot for me to be at that point. All this period, I had to take time off work, because I work too. But then my boss understands, thankfully. So more like I took the whole of July off work. That's the whole month of July now, off work and all of that. So when I came back, I felt like my work was going to need a lot of my time. This is the fact that I've been absent for like a month. The foundation will also need me, but then the foundation can always run without me.
Yeah.
And I feel like when things like that always comes up, what happens? So I needed to step back this time away from the foundation to make sure let other people just run it. The decisions can always go by me.
True.
And we can always make adjustments. But then I won't be because of this pain that I've been subjected to. I felt like at every time I get a chance to go through a crisis episode and recover, it's more like I feel like a man that just got snatched away from death. Let me put it that way. That's the feeling I always get after every time. So each time I recover from my episodes, I always make a mantra, let me put it that way, like a watchword of what I'm going to be living with till probably the next time a crisis comes knocking. Do you understand? So that's it basically. Physical pain, we have a lot of physical pain. I've explained that. Then it takes a toll on the mental health. It makes you feel withdrawn from the society. And sometimes you feel less of a human, even by yourself without anybody making you feel that. You feel that why can't I do this? Because if I do it, I'm probably landing in the hospital. For my kind of person, I don't swim. I don't get into the pool at all because anytime I do that, or the last time I did that, right from the pool side, it was straight to the hospital. Straight. So ever since then, I knew that was starting to take a toll. So I ended to stop that aspect of life. I cannot swim. That's something that almost everybody enjoys doing. Everybody loves getting in the pool. For me, I can't. People love to drink cold things, take cold things at some point, chilled drinks, but then I can't. That's one basic part of life that everybody feels like you're left out. For every sickle cell warrior, some
Mm,
have it different. Some can swim. I know some sickle cell warriors that can swim perfectly.
mhm,
I know some that cannot play football, but then I can. Even though I cannot play for long,
mm,
I can play football actively.
mm,
Do you understand all of that? And that.
mm.
So that's that for that. For my personal life, that's it about me. For me personally,
Basically, that's a lot, and I know that every sickle cell warrior's experience is quite different from another.
different.
So
Exactly.
there's no one thing that suits all. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that with us. It's heartbreaking to see that what we can do as individuals, some other people cannot do that,
Cannot do it.
and
Yeah.
that's really heartbreaking. Okay, so what challenges do you face in the course of running your nonprofit organization? I know every organization struggles with funding, majority of the organizations, but then apart from funding, what challenges do you face in the course of running your nonprofit?
Okay. This is just a joke. Funding that I remove is part of it.
Hmm,
But then, I would like to go basically into human support.
hmm,
People feel like, I don't know. I really don't know how to put this in words. But then people feel like this is not my concern,
because I don't
so
have
I
it.
should not. Because exactly, so I should not be bothered about it, which I feel like is wrong.
Hmm,
I feel the moment we start treating it like a breakout, like something like COVID,
exactly.
that's when we start addressing it properly.
Hmm,
Because if we don't address it as it is presently in Nigeria, the widespread will reach every family. So I feel like people really need to take it up as it is my concern, no matter what.
hmm,
Yes, you are AA, but then you probably know 2 years couple trying to get married in the next couple of days or months,
hmm,
and then you're not saying anything about it because it's not your business.
hmm,
No, you are letting them do the wrong thing that you have a knowledge about.
hmm,
That's one thing. I feel like we should collectively be able to raise this awareness that we're trying to do. It's not a one man's job, it's not an organization job. We have plenty of organizations trying to do that, but trust me, it is beyond our capacity
hmm,
as it is. But we have to continue to try with every individual actively involved in this.
hmm.
That's number one. Then number two, I think the major challenge I've had with my organization is our social media presence is not as much as what we do per se. We do. I would say we are really not showing off much of what we do. I've been trying to find a way around that online. We do much more than what we show online. Do you
Mm,
understand? We do quite much more. We are affecting people. We are touching lives. We
mm,
are going places more than what our social media pages shows and all of that. I'm looking into a way of improving that by God's grace before the end of the year and
mm,
all of that. So that then insecurity presently is one of the things that has been holding us
mm,
back
mm, mm,
because traveling within the states as it is presently, bad roads and all of that, I cannot continue to put people at risk.
yeah.
People that work with me, I cannot continue to put them at risk of that because we want to achieve something. A lot of them are scared, which is normal. I don't blame them. It's the state of the country. So
Mm,
that's one thing again on the other side. Then looking to get active board presently. I'm looking into having more people from the society coming on board. When you have notable people on a course, it gives people more to look into what that course is.
yeah.
Just now. So I'm looking into doing that.
Mm,
That's it basically.
mm, mm. Wonderful. I can understand what you mean when you say insecurity because I recently interviewed another founder who runs her organization from Abuja. And she complained also of insecurity, having to travel, kidnapping, stealing.
Exactly.
For them, bad roads isn't even the challenge, but the
Bad
kidnapping.
road is like a
Yeah,
minute of the challenge.
yeah, but the kidnapping, the stealing is alarming, and so I can totally relate. And I hope that soonest, 2023, we become obedient and everything gets solved.
Hopefully, by God's grace.
By God's grace, we'll see a change in our country soonest. Okay, so finally, before I let you go, is there any specific program or project that you would like the members of the general public or people listening to us right now to support your foundation?
It's still going to be the Gen 1000 project. Trust me. We are looking for a large fund on that. We've been doing it in bits by bits, because of the funding we've been getting. Do you understand? I feel like if we have a large book of funds somewhere, it will be easy for us to be on a spree to just continue and continue and continue. But then we have to take a stop each time, because we are looking for money. And we're writing to different organizations to come support and all of that before we even do the general public crowdfunding and all of that. So I'm looking to people supporting us for this Gen 1000. Even if we cannot achieve it anymore this year, we'll continue giving out free genotype tests to people and in places we want to go. We cannot run out of that. Trust me, we'll continue. So we are looking into people still supporting us for the Gen 1000 project. The Gen 1000 project, like I said earlier, is free 1000 genotype tests to run across the 16 local governments in Ekiti State. So that's it basically.
Okay, all right. So my other question would be, how much does it cost randomly to run genotype test for one person?
2,000 naira.
Okay, so 2,000 naira would be about $5.
2 million naira. Yeah, $5.
Yeah. So, guys, it costs $5 to ensure that we're able to reduce and also finally curb out the number of people living with sickle cell in Nigeria. So $5 will get you something very small. You know what I mean? So,
Exactly.
you can donate anonymously. For those of us that like to donate anonymously, you can send an email. You can donate through the options that are available. Every description is every information you need is in the description box and also on your screen. So please feel free to reach out to Ayeni just in case you want to donate or you want to volunteer or you want to support in whichever ramification, cash or kind is accepted. You can offer your service.
You're welcome.
You can offer the equipment for carrying out the test, or you can help in spreading out the word about sickle cell in Nigeria. So Ayeni, thank you so much for joining me on today's episode. It was an amazing conversation with you. And
thank you very much for having me.
Awareness Month. It is our month. So happy Sickle Cell Awareness Month.
Awareness Month, yes. Let's continue to do it.
Yeah, definitely. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Please remember to share, to drop a comment of what stood out for you in today's episode. Also, do not forget to subscribe because your subscription means a lot to us. Thank you and see you in the next episode. Toodles.
Thank you very much. Bye.